Jason's gonna show up and I can't call him late now. Okay, that's fine.
Ready?
All stand.
We can call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Barr.
Here.
Giovannini.
Here.
Eckhoff. Here. Callis.
Here.
Lee. Cowser. Bradshaw. Cranford. Howard. Willie.
Thank you. We're going to deviate a little bit from the agenda for a couple of minutes to remember a former longtime city employee. Chris, you want to step up and make a few comments?
Thank you. Just push the button, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, for giving me a minute to recognize Ron Faust, who many of you may know, that passed away last week after a rather quick illness. Just would like to recognize him for a moment. Ron served the city from 1978 to 2008, and half of that time serving as the assistant street superintendent for the street department. Began at a time with the city where there were a total of 3 dump trucks in the fleet, 2 pickups, a backhoe, and a loader. So call that the old days. But Ron, you know, he's kind of a jack of all trades. He was our heavy equipment operator as well as our main tree worker, cutting hundreds of trees over his career. He oversaw the downtown snow cleanup for a great deal of those years, working overnights, loading trucks with snow. And his handiwork can be seen all over town in places such as the Play Park and Riverside Park boat ramp, which he oversaw the installation of both. Countless sidewalks downtown where we were taking the old basements out. And he was very heavily involved with the construction of our new shop and break room in 1995. He was kind of the guy that did the training for us new hires back in the day. He was very patient, but wasn't afraid to give you a stern head shake or a chewing out if you deserved it. But he was a very fair individual to work for, and he made working a lot of fun. He had a laugh you could hear across the maintenance shop, especially during our, we'd always have end-of-year water fights, the part-time kids versus the full-time guys. So we'd all end up soaking wet, but he just had one of those laughs you could hear across town. So he was a dedicated public servant, and would just like to take a minute to thank him for that, and extend our sympathies to his wife Vicki, his daughter Chris, and son Ron, and the rest of his family. So thank you, Mayor, for giving me a moment to do that.
Thank you. As Chris said, Ron was a valued member of the city's departments for 30 years plus, and that he actually installed the first lights in the trees around the square for Christmas. And when he was doing that, Gary Howells, who was head of one of the retail committees, went up and asked him if he could do it a little differently or a little better. And I believe Ron got off the ladder, and Gary forgot how big he was. And he says, well, on second thought, you're doing a damn good job. Anyhow, he certainly enjoyed him when he was working here, and was a good friend to the community. And we want to make sure that we recognize his efforts for us. With that said, we're going to move on to our regular meeting and our consent agenda.
I would motion acceptance of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Kelly, seconded by Mike Barr. Roll call, please.
Barr.
Yes.
Giovannini.
Yes.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Callis.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Cowser.
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Cranford.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Thank you. On the regular agenda, I think Jim has something to say on.
Yes, so the 1% sales tax that we passed in a review with the Department of Revenue, looks like I got out in front of things a little bit too fast. The governor has not signed that bill yet. The readings I had from the Municipal League indicated that a city could pass an ordinance at any time. It's not the case, and so as of right now, that ordinance would be invalid, and we'll have to bring that back when the governor signs that bill, or if he doesn't sign it after 60 days from when the House, or both houses passed it. But I'll be in check of that when that's actually signed or law.
Not the news we wanted to hear,
Yeah.
but not the worst news either.
That is just the grocery.
That's just the 1% sales tax, yeah, not the grocery tax.
Oh,
It's the last one that we just did.
Okay, moving on, the Stalter agreement on combining 2 lots. I believe
Greg's.
Greg's got something to add to it.
I can at least speak for the terms that I discussed with Mr. Salter. He was in my office last week, and we discussed terms to satisfy the building department's perspective of things. And as we talked about at the last time that this was on the agenda, Mr. Salter, I asked him not to do anything else to his shed until he actually got approval, because right now the shed's invalid no matter what he does until he gets his lot approved by council or gets the combination approved by council. But we did talk about options and his plan to actually satisfy the building department's requirements for that shed to be in compliance. So Mr. Salter is, the issues that I have are the shed is not completely on gravel. It's not completely on a hard surface. It is not, the portions of the shed that even are on gravel there's a wood buffer between, and it's unsightly. The shed kind of looks like an ocean liner parked in the middle of his yard there. So to address that, he talked about lifting the shed, remove wood blocks, and completing the gravel underlay to go ahead and resecure the shed. And he wants a half-foot fence east side to kind of enclose that lot and give it a little bit better look. And he's already seeded the grass, so things are looking good on that side. So from my perspective, we just need to get back in front of council and see if we can get those lots combined.
Anyhow, it's an agreement to combine the lots, so he can proceed with adding on to the shed and whatnot. And like I said, we've done many of these in the past, so anything to add to that, Alan, or just?
When we did the agreement originally, there was, my understanding was he did come in to get a permit for the shed, but he got the permit for his house lot. And of course, this was an adjacent lot it's on that had a house demoed on it. The demo, whoever did the work didn't really finish the job and properly backfill it, grade and seed it, so it was very rough. And my guess is the shed could have been ordered before this all happened because it was delivered and put on that unprepared lot. And even though there was a building permit issued, there was never representation that the shed was going on that adjacent property. So his building permit would only permit a shed of appropriate size on his house lot. But, I've talked to his attorney, talked to him, myself, and told him that it's very unsightly, it doesn't fit the neighborhood, and he needs to come up with a proposal to make it more aesthetically pleasing and fit the neighborhood better. And it sounds like, and I talked to Greg about that too, it sounds like Greg's in the one-on-ones has come up with something that Greg feels will address that. And so technically, the agreement doesn't make them one lot. It simply says they have 2 lots, but we're gonna treat it as one for zoning purposes, based on his agreement that we'll record that those 2 properties will never be sold separately. And that effectively makes them one lot, but he could have made them one lot by going to a surveyor, having a plat of subdivision for those two lots and re-subdividing those two lots into one. He didn't do that, and that's probably a $3,000 or $4,000 process. But we've used this agreement for people who want to build garages on adjacent properties, people with sheds. We recorded in the courthouse so that they can't bypass it by selling one off separately. The title company will pick it up, and it's never been a problem. It's just that this one stood out in its appearance of not quite fitting the neighborhood. And I understand the council was well aware of that one. This came before the council before. That was one of the meetings, as that one of the girls' golf tournaments, but the same petition didn't fare well.
So once that's done, does he need another permit for the improvements to the lots?
He would, I think, if we're going to be consistent, we give him a permit for this, another permit for this specific structure. Because otherwise, it'd be admitting our other permit covered this and allowed it to happen. So I think we have to say that permit as to what he did is void on that other property, because it still is lot, whatever it is. I've got the description since I went and got the deeds. That hasn't changed what that lot is, a separate lot. It's still legally a separate lot. It's just that we're agreeing to treat it as one.
Yeah.
And then with the issue of that additional permit, Mr. Knowles can put the required restrictions directly on the face of that other permit.
Correct.
And make sure we enforce that.
There you go.
And I probably wouldn't even record the agreement if you approve it until we knew that the work was done or being done satisfactorily.
Yeah. But we need to approve the
Need to-
agreement right
Need to
now.
let him know that
To
assuming he
proceed.
does all that work, so I think the agreement be approved contingent upon him meeting the requirements
Right.
agreed by Greg and Mr. Stoll.
Yeah.
And then we'd execute and record it after Greg satisfied that it's gonna happen properly.
We don't really have any means to disallow this. Had he come to us before the shed thing ever happened, it would have been a pretty simple process.
If it
Yeah.
would have, I
Correct?
suspect if
Yes.
you didn't get the cart before the horse, you probably would have approved it, wouldn't have visualized it the way it turned out.
Yeah.
But that's where, after the fact, hurt him because it didn't look good.
Yeah.
But you have the right to not do it, and if you don't do it at all, then we're in court to get him to remove it, to say you violated our accessory structure, one item, one principal use on one lot. And I know that he has consulted at least 2 lawyers, so he's probably not just going to agree to that removal. We probably will win at the end of the day. I've usually got pretty good batting average on that sort of thing. But if it can be done where both sides are in agreement and it's done so that the neighbors have something that feels like it fits into the area, but still keeping it facing north and south, not turning it east and west, right?
That is his plan, yes.
Okay. So a little landscaping around it or something like that would go, I told him would go a long ways. But, you know, he's got to earn your trust.
Okay. Well, he's worked diligently with Greg, and he's been in and at City Hall and professed his desires to make it pleasing to the eye and do all things that Greg has brought forth. So I think that we need to just move on. So I need a motion to approve the agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, but can that motion include, I would change the wording in the agreement to incorporate its contingent upon meeting the requirements?
I'd be comfortable
It
with,
was drafted before that was discussed.
I'd be comfortable with that.
Yeah, I can do that. I can add that to it.
Okay.
So if that's incorporated in the motion,
That's not in my ward, but I've had some negative reaction to it. As you mentioned, it's unsightly, and
I've had them. I mean, I have people contact me and I'm not on any ward. You know?
Well,
It's like, how can you, the question is, well, how can you do that?
That's the aesthetics that we're talking about,
Right.
to make it more pleasant, so pleasing. So we have a motion from Mike. We have a second?
Bill's asking a question.
Yes, I'm sorry, Bill.
Had we not put the building up, but went ahead and tried to get the lots put together, there'd been no problem, is that correct?
Correct.
What isn't, you commented.
I suspect that
In your
if
opinion.
we would have approved the agreement and then the building got brought in, we wouldn't have the leverage to ask for the aesthetic improvements that we
Right.
have now.
But I don't think we'd want to be in a position where we're encouraging people to bring in the buildings ahead of time
You know,
anyway.
right now, we need to know that, we're gonna be extra careful in the office on this sort of thing, and make sure size, setback, I mean, there was some extenuating circumstances about when he got the permit out.
Yeah. Right.
To be clear, the only illegality is the shed is on a lot, not combined right now. So the issue, we have the issue of combining the lot is separate slightly. So we're here for the shed, for the combination of the lots. And then
The fact
being on site
unless he satisfies
is my
the
purview.
council that it's gonna fit, they're not gonna combine the lots to allow him to do it perfectly.
Sure, and again, for clarity, I had a conversation with Mr. Salter. If everything goes sideways and the shed, if he has space on the 825 lot to orient the shed and the shed would fit there, no problem. But as the property owner, he would like to put the shed in the position that of his preference. So that's why he needs the council's approval.
So Mike has put forth a motion with contingencies. Do we have a second for the agreement? Seconded by Bill Callis. Okay.
Can we attach a deadline? Is that fair?
I mean, the permit process has deadlines to it.
Yeah.
Yep. And to where if he doesn't meet those deadlines, then
Yeah.
it would be a violation. What is
The
it?
thing, since
You
we're
have,
doing it based on his agreement with Greg, if that, a timeframe was included, would be part of that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
yeah.
Permit for his
What's a reasonable time
improvements.
for what he's wanting to do, Greg? Is he able to, he's got to bring in the contractor to lift it again? or
Correct.
do that? So
Yeah, he's got to get that scheduled too, and
he's a
so.
little bit at the mercy of the contractor, who's
Correct.
got the capability of moving that.
But they're typically, what, a year, I think, for a permit?
6 months for
Six,
the work
okay.
to begin, and a year for it to be completed.
Okay.
Greg, does he have the setback that he needs on the south side of the building?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Giovanini,
No.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Callis,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Cowser, Bradshaw,
Yes.
Cranford,
Yes.
Howard,
No.
Barr.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Greg.
I really appreciate you getting that resolved.
It does.
Yeah.
It could have gone.
Okay, moving on. Bids for City Hall safety parking lots. Brian is chomping at the bits to get us updated.
On July 8th, we opened bids for our City Hall and Public Safety Complex parking lot rehabilitation project. We had two bidders. H.J. Elpel and Company was the low bidder at $612,513.93. I would recommend awarding the contract to H.J. Elpel and Company for this work.
That is the lots out here and
It's a lot out front here, the one here on the side where the, I'll say the police officers, not the officers, but the office
Yeah.
personnel park, and then in the back where fire personnel, EMS, and the police vehicles are.
And that's funded in your budget plus the movement of that grant that we had?
Correct, yeah. So this came in actually under what we budgeted for it.
Do we have a start and end date?
We do not at this time. After this approval tonight, then we will prepare the contract books, which will then be sent to the contractor. The contractor has some time to put his contract bond together. Once they get their contract bond and do get their signatures put together, it'll come back to us, and then we have up to 45 days to sign our part of the contract and get that back to the contractor, and then they will mobilize within their schedule.
So it's unlikely it's gonna start before school starts?
It will not start before school starts.
Remind me what exactly, are there any changes being made to this parking lot that would, like, are we gonna have the same number of spots, or are we gonna have the same?
The number of spots will be similar. Right now, these spots don't comply to some of the standard parking areas, so we'll lose a few. I can't remember, I think it's 5 or 6 spaces we will lose out here. We will take the entrance up near Howard Street on the west side. There's 3 entrances there. The one closest to the intersection, that really doesn't comply being so close, so that will come out as well. We'll widen this entrance on the east as much as possible. It's only a few feet, but we'll get about 3 more feet there and change the radius a little bit to try and allow for some better in and out traffic. Right now, this is kind of a 1 lane. So there's really some constraints here that made it very difficult to meet the standards that we would like to meet. But we basically did the best we could do to widen up that lane, get some better traffic. The parking right here in front of City Hall will be 90-degree parking instead of angled, so that will be a little bit of a change. We're adding an inlet so that we don't have this kind of swale right in front of the door, so that's going to be pushed further away from the building, and then the drainage will be handled that way. And we will have overflow to the west before anything would get towards the building. So some of those changes are out there. We will change some of the islands. So when we take out the one entrance up by Howard Street, that will add an island, and then we'll remove the island in the center here. Yeah, right in the center, that will come out. And then the other islands will basically remain the same.
Are we making any improvement? I'm not sure how to ask this question. The Harvest Host parkers sometimes take up a lot of room. Are we somehow managing to make improvements that will address that, or is it that didn't come in?
So we looked at that. We looked at a few different options of where we could put them, how we could put them. Some of them, one option that maybe had the most traction was up in the south, I'll call it the southwest corner where that entrance would go away. There were some issues with vehicles being able to back in, and that would be a hindrance to some. And then it'd be much more loss of parking. So ultimately, we decided not to have a designated space for that. But the idea would be, if we don't find another location in the angled parking, they could pull through that angled parking and maybe take 2 spaces instead of parking in front. But it was looked at, it just didn't have a good solution. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, on the one hand, it's nice that they're here because it's easy for us to make contact with them, but on the same hand, there really isn't a great place to stick. It really comes into play when you're talking to somebody pulling an RV with a car behind it, or extended size. There just really wasn't a great solution, but we didn't want to put anything along the building where it would restrict access to the entrances, and that was a big. We're going to get rid of the river out in front and make it easier for accessible entrance into City Hall.
No more long jumps.
Right, yeah. So we are still currently looking at maybe some other options for Harvest Host, if that's an opportunity to put them in a different location in the downtown. Or if we know they're coming, we can maybe mark something off. Yeah, right.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the options we were looking at.
Did we ever get a number of how many people took advantage of that?
I could get you a number, but I don't have it off the top of my head. But we have a lot of visitors that come through that way. We have over 220 positive reviews too.
No, I have nothing wrong with the problem or the program. I just thought there's probably a lot more that come through that program than we think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay.
I would motion acceptance of the low bid of
I second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Barb. Roll call, please.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Callis.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Cowser. Bradshaw. Cranford. Howard.
Yes.
Barr.
Yes.
Giovanini.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on, Gary, got a little purchase for the Parks and Rec Center.
Good evening. I come to you tonight with a request to purchase a new treadmill. The one that is down requires a new belt, a new deck, pretty much a full overhaul. It is 8 years old. It's one of the two older ones we have. The repair cost is $2,088.80. A newer one that will match the other three that we currently have. It'll match up and sync with those. It'll look just exactly like those. Comes in at $6,631.33.
the life expectancy of any of them? I mean, brand new, but.
It depends on, yeah, it depends on how much, and treadmills, typically our treadmills get the most usage out of any equipment, and the body type, use, the constant pounding is what the problem is, so.
I think the last ones we purchased were right in the same 7-year area.
Yeah, they were purchased we got the three others in 2022. And I assume they're probably about the same age.
Mm-hmm.
And they,
That we approve the purchase of a new one for $6,631.
motion by Kelly, seconded by Jerry. Cowser. Roll call, please.
Callis.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Cowser. Bradshaw. Cranford. Howard.
Yes.
Barr.
Yes.
Giovanini.
Yes.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Super. Gary, while you're up there, utility cart.
Yes, before we go to that, we did receive our new carts in last week. Look pretty sharp, very comfortable, have a little bit more zip to them. And with that, Shannon has put a request together to purchase the 2003 Carry-All 500 utility cart that we would use to mostly for maintenance, but also for outings to carry stuff around instead of using some of the new carts that we have and cause wear and tear on them. The cost to purchase that outright is an even $6,000.
This is the utility cart that we already had been leasing.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's the one that did not have the picker on it. Yep. So we were talking about this idea, and as we go in through these leases, that as an option to pick up one of these utility carts each time, to where we own utility carts to where we're only leasing one in the end, and then it would replace the bottom end one, and we'd have at least a system of replacing them. And so just so you know too, that we did not have a line item for the budget on this. However, the golf course from last year to this year has created enough to cover the cost of this without any issues.
And you start leasing that from new? Same time?
Correct, yeah. So we just leased the two new ones, and as part of this golf cart lease, and then this would give us the third one, because what we're doing right now is we're taking a regular golf cart that would be in circulation for players and using it for maintenance stuff, and that is a little rough on them, and it'll leave that available for them and give us our own utility as well.
I'll make a motion to purchase.
All right. Motion by Jason, second by Scott. Purchase utility vehicle. Roll call, please.
Are we purchasing or leasing it?
This would be a purchase.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Cowser. Bradshaw. Cranford. Howard.
Yes.
Barr.
Yes.
Giovanini.
Yes.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Callis.
Yes.
Thank you. Gary, great job. Okay. Up next is Liz on visiting the website.
Good evening, Council. So first off, I just wanted to take a minute to kind of brag on my department. We undertook the Marketing Partnership Program grant through DCEO. It's a tourism grant. It's the first time I personally have ever done it. Ellie had previously done it in 2019, but it's basically a match grant through the state to help with marketing purposes for the tourism department. And we, as you know, and we've talked about through budget discussions through the years, the visitpontiac.org website is in dire need of some help. So we kind of took this opportunity as a way to look at how we could come up with a much better user-friendly website for our purposes. Currently, our website is through the same service that the city website is through, which is fantastic for a municipal government, but for a visitor destination website, it's maybe not the best option. So anyway, I just want to give you a little background on all of this. The total of the grant we were awarded, our match was $30,582.50. So that grant will go toward our advertising, marketing, and whatnot. But the website proposal that you have in front of you, I just did want to talk a little bit about that too. So I tasked Hannah with researching other destination DMO websites to try to see, you know, what she liked, what we thought would be a good fit. We started meeting with people, and we felt McDaniel's Marketing, they're based out of Pekin actually, but they do websites all over the United States, and they are a really good fit for us. They don't just do tourism and destination marketing. They do all different kinds, but they do a great job with tourism and destination marketing websites. But they also do city websites as well, so they understand working within those parameters as well. The proposal that you have in front of you, you'll notice it's going to give us a total, complete overhaul. We're getting copywriting, which is one thing that's desperately needed. We're going to get some images, some photography, some video. And also, just this might be a little too much, but the website will be in WordPress, which is a standard, so that even down the road, as we're 5 years, 10 years from now, if we still have the same website company, whoever's in a role that's updating it would more than likely be able to quickly adapt to it. Does anyone have any questions on any of this?
So the website that we currently have, that Civic Plus does, we're paying Civic Plus something.
Correct.
That's the question. So how much more would this be than what we're already paying?
It's a good question, Kelly. Thank you. So the annual fees are going to be approximately the same. Currently, through Civic Plus, we pay about $3,000 a year for all of the SSL server hosting, all that stuff. So, and then it'll be, as you can see in there, they do have a 6-month hosting and maintenance plan.
So we budgeted for this, question mark?
Yes. So two things I think are important to note on it. With Civic Plus, if they were to redesign the website that we have, was going to be somewhere close to $15,000. However, we would be responsible for, basically they would give us a blank, here's a blank thing, you fill it in. Whereas McDaniel's is going to assist us in producing and creating the content and all of that. And on top of that, This is part of that MPP grant that we got. So it's a 50% grant, and here is the benefit of where we sit is part of this grant is this website redesign, and then the other part of the grant is some marketing that we had already budgeted for that we're going to get half of what we budgeted back. And so on top of that, we'll be sitting in good shape then to get this website up and going, and then we'll be kind of in the same position that we are with Civic Plus right now when it comes time for the regular annual maintenance.
We do all the updates. When, like, after they get it all set up, we don't call them and say, do this.
Content we would update, correct? Yeah, but as far as the actual maintenance behind the scenes, all of that, no.
Have you talked to any of the references?
Yeah, I have, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody I've spoken with has been very pleased with their work.
Of course, you wouldn't give a reference to someone who was giving you a bad reference.
Yeah, well, we actually sought out references, people I knew within the industry that worked with them on different things, so.
And the nice thing is that on page 6, they list a lot of their clients where you can just go to their website and look at it and see that that's their work, so.
Any other questions?
Go for it.
Okay, motion by Kelly, seconded by Jerry, that we approve the purchase. Roll call, please.
Cowser.
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Cranford. Howard.
Yes.
Barr.
Yes.
Giovanini.
Yes.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Callis.
Yes.
Lee.
Thank you very much. Liz,
Thank-
while you're up there,
Thank you, Council. And just so everyone's aware, timeline-wise, we are, they anticipated about a 6-month timeline if this was approved. We could potentially be able to move that up a little bit more, but just so we're all aware. I'm just excited to get our logo that we redid in '21 on our website. We haven't been able to even do that, so thank you. So anyway, the next thing I wanted to talk about is actually a Main Street project that Misty has been working on. Well, it's really just the alley closure, but I just wanted to talk a little bit on some things. Misty, I told her she didn't need to come tonight. She will be coming, though, in August. She's looking forward to it. She's going to kind of give her first update. She's been here for a year. It's hard to believe, but she's going to give an update on the Main Street program and talk some more about the initiatives that have happened in this past year and looking forward to the future. But one of the things that we were tasked with Centennial Plaza is looking at some programming for that area. She also had the idea to have some evening markets, farmers markets, and so that's what this entails. Really, we're just asking tonight for the alley closure at Centennial Plaza so that we could close it off for foot traffic. That's the main part of it, but it is for the flyer that's in front of you for the sip and shops that'll be happening in July and August.
it's limited time, too.
Very limited time, yeah, from 4:30 to 8:30. And the dates are July 16th, July 30th, August 13th, and August 27th.
As we know, Centennial Plaza is kind of like going to be our showplace for the Centennial for Route 66. So we want to do all of our work that we can in this next 2 years to be ready. Yes. Seconded by everyone.
I have to have a second.
Seconded by Jason.
Okay.
Is there a list available yet? Who's going to be there tomorrow night?
I do not have a list. I apologize for that. I know that this has all come about pretty quickly. So the first one, I believe she's got somewhere around 8 to 10 people or vendors confirmed. It is like farmers market things. Yeah, yeah. I think there might be some additional vendors, but it's that type. Yes.
So we've had a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Cranford. Howard.
Yes.
Barr.
Yes.
Giovanini.
Yes.
Eckhoff. Callis.
Yes.
Lee. Cowser.
Thank you, Council.
Thanks, Liz. Liz, while you're up there, I'd just like to commend your staff, Gary's staff, the entire city for the great job they did on July 6th for the Independence celebration. It was really well done. The parking was done exceptionally well. I don't think that was any smoother could be possible. Like I said earlier, the people that benefited the most might have been 66 licks, because I don't think that line ever got below 200 yards. So, but it was a great night. Fireworks were fabulous. The Elks Club and the Trust and the city put a lot of money into it, and it turned out to be fabulous. And Jim ordered in perfect weather.
Hey,
And Bob never got perfect weather, but Jim did.
Gary took the credit for the weather since he
Is that
was.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with Gary's help, they ordered in perfect weather. So thanks again, and great job.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of people that work very hard on that event that it wouldn't happen without them. So thank you.
Good, all right. Moving on. Mayor's, well, that's one of my comments. All right. Big well done. I used one of the new golf carts, by the way, out the golf course. They're really nice.
Did it help your game?
Yeah, maybe next time, yeah. We'll have to see. It's been interesting. The other thing is, I'm gonna be out of town a few days next week, and Bill Callis is going to sit in for me on a couple of events, one with Tom Bennett. So if you have any problems or complaints, call Bill, all right? He's got a real big phone, so he can handle them all, that kind of thing. The other thing is, I got calls today about the Mill Street Bridge. Jim is telling me that should be open tomorrow. There was sewer separation work going on, had to be closed today. Most people says, we didn't get any notice, and I says, well, it'll be open tomorrow, so come back and see. So other than that, we do have need for executive session. We'll have to go into that. I did want to comment that on the housing issue, I checked with the mayor at Watseka, who worked with the housing department. He was just thrilled with the cooperation work they did. And then I also talked to the people down in Mount Vernon, and it was a little bit larger than us, and they appreciated the information, but they hired a separate firm to come in and implement things, which I thought was kind of interesting. But apparently they have more grants and more money than many places. So, but the mayor in Watseka said that this was a group you can really work with. Amy, took over and spearheaded their whole program. So it's we're looking forward to getting that ball rolling too. So moving on, city council comments.
Well, that was one of my questions because I missed the last meeting. So have we, what is our next step? Have we signed the agreement and chosen the people that are going to be leading it for that agreement, or where are we going with? Has anybody been back in touch with Amy, or?
I have not.
So Amy sent over their proposal that we need to look at and determine what it is we want to accomplish out of it and complete it and send it back. That's where we sit. So we should get together and kind of talk about that.
From a council standpoint, we're expecting Kelly and Scott to kind of co-chair and bring this to fruition here. So, yeah. Any other council?
I have one.
Sure.
I recently been bringing my dog with me to work, and I noticed that there's really nowhere downtown to take a dog to go to the bathroom. I just kind of like to bring that up. We have a lot of people come in through the harvest, you know, and a lot of tourists come with their dogs. There are a lot of people who live downtown with dogs who live in the apartments. I know quite a few business owners who take their dogs with them. And it would be great if we could just get a little spot to take a dog to the bathroom. It doesn't have to be real big, just something small, and you know, have a little thing there with bags if you need them. I mean, obviously people be wanting to clean up after themselves, but if we could get just a little place for a dog, that would be great.
Possibility. I know a lot of people have dogs downtown, and they bring them over to the Methodist church. And quite frankly, they are very diligent about picking up after the animals and that kind of thing. But occasionally, on the sidewalks, we will find some people that aren't very diligent. And assume it's not terrible, but on the 4th of July in the afternoon, I was out cleaning the sidewalks in front of Wright's because there was quite a mess. And, you know, that would have been a great picture for the newspaper, you know, but it got cleaned up pretty good. So, but we do see a lot of dogs downtown. And I believe the courthouse frowns upon people. Yeah.
And if there were a spot, we would have had to defend it. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
That would be the hope.
Yeah. Well, I can't think of a good spot offhand, but like I said, over by the church is maintained well. So.
Yeah, it wouldn't need to be real big, about the size of a parking spot.
Yeah. We can maybe take a look at something, but see what happens. Anybody else?
I have one other thing, and I didn't bring my notes, but Barb and I had the pleasure recently, maybe she talked about this at the last council, I'll apologize if she did, but the end was cut off of the video, so I couldn't watch. We attended a seminar put on by the University of Illinois Extension last month called Reversing the Exodus. It was an invitation it was actually in Woodford County, but it was by the whole unit, which encompasses Livingston, Woodford, and McLean. And it was city officials, chamber officials, I don't know, was there about 20 of us there, Barb?
Yeah.
One man, all women.
Yeah.
And it was an excellent, excellent program. To talk to us about how we can reverse the trend of young people moving away from our communities or not returning to our communities. And I would like for us to either as a group, we got the PowerPoint, maybe invite this person. We need to get her to come to Livingston County and get more of our officials.
Actually, it'd be great if she could come and present it to the city council.
I don't want it to sound, I'm old, and many of you in this room are older than me, and we aren't going to be here in 10, 15, 20 years, and we need the young people to start helping us make the decisions that will affect them. It's things we don't understand, and we need to start learning how to understand what I thought I heard somebody clapping. And we had a focus group of 3 individuals that got up, that were at the seminar, that were all in there between 25 and 40, and they were used to be answered questions about why they live in the communities they live in, and it was a good set of questions, and I think it would be wise of us to either develop a young people's core group that we would use as voices. Am I saying this right, Barb?
Yeah, because basically
Maybe
what
we
we
use
do is
them as
ask
a
for their
consulting
input.
group
Yeah.
of,
Input.
we gather some people for input that live in our community, and what is, things are, they have different things that are important to them than I do, than you do. nobody living here because our population is old. And we may have, I mean, not necessarily in Pontiac, but a community the size of Sonoma, for instance, they may just dry up because there's nothing for people there. And the county really needs to start recognizing this because they're making, they're just, it's like the bike path is important to young people. And if we don't figure out a way in Livingston County to make this bike path happen, that's something that attracts them to come here, attracts other people to come here. It's the beautifications of our streets. Even entry, if you drive into 116, if you come here someday, it's like, do I want to live here? You know, and just, that's why I think it would be good if we all watched, could see the seminar. The woman that put it on, she's done this for like 3 or 4 years all over the state of Illinois. And she talked a lot about grants. And we need to start really trying to find somebody who can write grants for us because there's a lot of money to be had. And we aren't capturing it because we don't have any way to do it. And I mean, one of the gals in the room was from Fulton County, and she and her husband have adopted the Fulton County seat, which is Lewiston, I believe. And they have started rehabbing downtown buildings, and I mean, they just came to this community and decided they wanted to make a difference. And you know, they're flipping houses, they're getting grants, and they found a young person in their community who's helping them write these grants. And it takes a lot of work, a lot of people, a lot of village to do it, and a lot of time. And we don't have people resources that, you know, that everybody that works on staff is overwhelmed. And but
Well, you know, we have been talking with Robin Kelly about getting grant writings and stuff. And her grant writing person, I've forgotten her name again, but is supposed to be, after the 4th of July, is supposed to be getting back to us to set up a time where she could come down and kind of get us pushed in the right direction. So,
good.
we were looking at federal grants there, but you
Yeah,
know,
well,
but it's all
Yeah, there's state grants too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I've kind of behind the scenes through emails have been suggesting, you know, the bike trail and, you know, the improvements downtown for living. And, you know, I've had a few people on some of the groups that I've talked to have suggested that, you know, if we needed help writing grants, maybe a citizens group to come in and give some time to filling out whatever short paperwork has to be done that occupies the time of, you know, our staff.
Well, we're all in favor of advisory groups. We did that for the kickoff on the housing, and those people have all been helpful and are planning to continue working with us on that too, so we can reach out. Yeah.
Seems to me the first step is to get jobs and then worry about the amenities of the community that will keep people here. But when you look around, what industry is here?
But that was the point of the thing, Frank, is that we don't need industry. So many of these people are working remotely, and you have no idea the amount of money they're making. I mean, a lot of remote jobs are making a lot of money, and they just want to go to a place where they feel comfortable and safe living. And we don't have to have an industry for that. We just need to be able to provide housing and the things they want, outdoor spaces, you know, good schools. We have those.
I've discovered that some of the corporations and some of the people that work for remotely are also tying them to the area too. So we need to work on someone who can approach these large corporations and say, hey, they're working remote, they're living out of the state, their bosses live out of state, why can't they live in their own hometown? You know, but there's a lot of blockage in that too, so that's something that has to be worked on.
I mean, good internet, which we have, was one of the #1 things that they
is, and we gotta move on to them.
Just sharing, yeah.
Good idea. City administrator.
Yeah, I have a couple. First, I do want to put a thanks out to Street Department, Emergency Services for their work after the storm. I know Chris's crew has been very busy removing trees from streets and down trees into parks. And Emergency Services, I do want to reiterate for the public that at about 12:30 last night, everybody in the city's phones went off and woke them up saying emergency tornado alert. And then the natural question is, why didn't the sirens in the city go off? And the answer to that is, well, the National Weather Service puts out alerts based on radar rotation. The sirens will go off when the radar rotation indicates a funnel cloud or a tornado within the proximity or heading toward the city, and or weather spotters observing the same. So while there was rotation in radar which prompted the general emergency alert, there wasn't anything specific to this area. So that is why that the sirens didn't go off.
But we wouldn't hear them if we were in the house anyway.
And then just a reminder, tomorrow at noon, Pavlov CCG Fiber Optics is having their ribbon cutting at the chamber. And one last note, we did get a grant from the Mid-Illinois Realtors. They want to provide 4 bicycle racks for downtown area. And so we've selected a rack that looks like a bicycle. It's a pretty unique looking thing. And also a fix-it station that'll go along with it. So we're in the process of putting that together. That will be something upcoming. So exciting stuff.
Hey, we do have need for executive session, unfortunately, but it does say public comments. I see no public, so we would entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session. Jamie and Barb. Roll call, please.
Did you do it? I did. Okay. Barr?
Yes.
Giovanini?
Yes.
Eckhoff?
Yes.
Callis?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Causer?
Yes.
Bradshaw? Cranford? Howard?
Yes.
And there's no action expected after the executive session.
Thank you.
I want to pick up on something like this, right?
And about 2 to 3 minutes, we will.
All right, I'm gonna leave her a note and say it's been changed.
Thank you. I know, yeah.
Well, no, one of my girlfriends